The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. Longman Simplified English Series. Read by Achara Bullard.
Chapter 22 In the haunted house. About noon the next day, the boys arrived at the dead tree. They had come for their tools. I said, "Tom, do you know what day it is?" said Huck sadly. Tom thought, and then said, with a startled look in his eyes, "Good heavens, I never once thought of it, Huck." "Well, I didn't either, but all at once I remembered that true day in Friday. Hungy, one can't be too cheerful, Huck. We might have got into an awful lot of trouble starting such a thing on a Friday. Might better say would. There are some lucky days, Harper's, but Friday isn't one of them." So they gave up their search and played Robin Hood all the afternoon. On Saturday, soon after midday, they were back at that tree again. They shouldered their tools and marched off. When they reached the haunted house, the dead silence and the loneliness of the place were so repellent that they were afraid of a moment to go in. Then they stepped inside. They saw a dusty room with an ancient fireplace, broken windows, and a ruined staircase. They talked in whispers, listening to catch in the slightest sound, and ready for an instant restate. After a time they became bolder, and gave the place a critical and interested examination. Next day wanted to took upstairs. They drew their tools in a corner and made the ascent. They found in the same sinks of decayers. They were about to go down and begin work when Tom whispered, "Shh! What it is?" asked Huck, going as white as a sheet with fret. "Shh! There! Hear it?" "Yes." "Oh, let's run." "Keep still. Don't move." They're coming right towards the door. The terrified boys stretched themselves upon the floor with their eyes two holes in the boards, and lay with it. Two men entered. Each boy said to himself, "There's the old deaf and dumb Spaniard, who's been in the town once or twice lately. I never seen two other men before." The other, who was talking in a loud voice, was a ranger fellow with an unpleasant face. The Spaniard was wrapped in a big, loose overcoat. He had a booty, white beard, long white hair flowed from under his white hat, and he wore dark spectacles. They sat down on the floor, and the other went on talking. "No, I've thought it over, and it's too dangerous." "Dangerous?" "Respect the deaf and damned Spanish," to the immense surprise and horror of the boys. They gasped and shivered. It was Reskin Joe's wife. "Don't be a coward," continued Reskin Joe. "Isn't coming here in the daytime dangerous? Anyone who saw us would suspect us." "I know that," replied the stranger, "but there isn't any other place as suitable. I want to wear this plate. I wanted to yesterday, but it wasn't any use trying to move out with those accursed boys playing over there." "Those accursed boys!" Several again. The two men got out some fruit and ate in silence. "Look here," said Reskin Joe after a time. "Go back to your home out the river. Wait there till you hear from me. I risk going into town just once more for a look round. We do that job, which you think is dangerous, after I've spied round a little and think everything's favorable. Then we'll set out for Texas together." This seemed satisfactory. Both men soon began yawning, and Reskin Joe said, "I can hardly keep my eyes open. It's your turn to watch." He curled up on the floor and was soon fast asleep. Presently the water began to nod, and he too slept. The boys drew a long, grateful breath. Tom whispered, "Now's our chance come." Tom urged, had held back. At last Tom rose softly, but the first step he took produced such a terrible drag from the rotten floor that he sat down almost dead with fright. He did not make a second attempt. As the sun was setting, Reskin Joe sat up, stared round, and then saluted his companion with his foot. "You're a fine watchman, aren't you?" "It's all right, Dot. Nothing happened." "Well, it's nearly time to be moving, partner," said Reskin Joe. "What shall we do with that money we've got left?" "I don't know," said the stranger. "Leave it here as we're always done. It's no use taking it away till we start south. $650 in fuel in a lot to carry." "Yes, but it may be a long time before I got the right chance of that job. Accidents may happen, and isn't it a very soft plate? We'll bury it properly." "Good idea," said Reskin Joe's companion, who walked across the room, raised one of the big flat stones in the fireplace, and lifted out a bag. He took from it $20 or $30 of himself and the same amount of Reskin Joe, and then passed it to the latter, who was on his knees in the corner now, dangling with his knife. The boys forgot all their fears, all their miseries, in an instant. with wide eyes. They watched every movement like this was better than anything they could have imagined. Here was the best kind of treasure hunting, without any troublesome uncertainty as to where to dig. The half-breed's knife struck something. "Hello!" he exclaimed. "What is this?" asked his companion. "It's a box, I believe. Here, help me and we'll see what it's here for." "Never mind. I've made a hole in two." He put his hand in and drew it out. "It's money." The two men examined the handful of coins. They were gold. The boys above were as excited as the men, and as delighted. "There's an old, rusty pig in the corner," said the stranger. "I saw it a minute ago." He ran and brought the boy's pig and spat. Redskin Joe took the pig, looked it over critically, shook his head, muttered something to himself, and then began to use it. The box was soon unearthed. "Partner, there are thousands of dollars there," said Redskin Joe. "I've often heard that Monroe's gang was around here one summer," remarked the stranger. "This is probably their money. Well, now you won't need to do that job." The half-breed frowned. A wicked light shone in his eyes. "You don't know me. It isn't robbery altogether. It's revenge, and I need your help in it." "All right. What shall we do with it?" "Bury it again." "Yes." The boys above were delighted. "No, no." This disappointment above. "I've nearly forgotten that pig and fresh earth on it." The boys were sick with terror in a moment. "Why, are you a pig and a spade here? Who brought them? Have you hurt anybody? Seen anybody? What? Shall we bury it again and leave them to come and see the grove disturb it?" "Never. We'll take it to my place." "Why, of course." "You mean number one?" "Number one. Two, under the cross," replied Redskin Joe. "Number one is not soft enough." "All right. It's nearly dark enough to start." The half-breed got up and went about from window to window, cautiously dipping out. "Who could have brought those tools here?" we asked presently. "Do you think they can be upstairs?" The boy's blood ran cold. Redskin Joe put his hand on his knife, stood for a moment undecided, and then turned towards the staircase. His steps came creaking up the stairs. Both the boys were shivering as if with a dozen fevers. Trash! Redskin Joe landed on the floor amidst the rotten wood of the fallen staircase. He picked himself up, cursing, and his companion said, "Now, what's the use of that? If anybody up there, let them stay here. Who cares? In my opinion, whoever left those shoes here caught sight of us and thought we were devils or ghosts. I bet they're running yet." Redskin Joe muttered for some time. Soon afterwards, they sped out of the house in the deepening twilight and moved towards the river with their precious box. Tom and Huck got up, weak but immensely relieved. They had not the slightest desire to follow Redskin Joe and the stranger. They were content to reach the grove without broken neck. They did not talk much on the way home. They were too busy hatching themselves and the bad luck that made them take the tools there. But for that, Redskin Joe would never have suspected and would have left Anne, Silver, and the girl. They determined to keep a lookout for that Spanish when he came to town, spreading out for a chance to do his revengeful job and to follow him to number 2, wherever that might be.